In the village of Umudike, dawn never arrived quietly. It came with the sound of roosters challenging the sky, with the rustle of palm fronds greeting the morning breeze, and with women stepping out of mud houses carrying empty buckets and unspoken prayers. The red earth knew every family by name, every sorrow by footprint, and every joy by laughter that echoed across the farms. Among the villagers lived a man called Chinedu Okorie. Once, his name meant something good. Chinedu was not born wicked, nor did he grow up dreaming of abandoning his home. As a young man, he had strong arms and a hopeful heart. When he married Ngozi, the village gathered under the Udala tree to celebrate them. Drums spoke happiness, palm wine flowed freely, and elders blessed their union with words older than the land itself. Ngozi was gentle, the kind of woman whose presence calmed storms. Her laughter was soft, her patience deep. When their daughter Adiz was born, Chinedu lifted the baby high into the air and declared, "This one will know joy." That day, tears of pride filled his eyes. But promises are easy when hunger has not yet learned your name. Years passed, and the land grew stubborn. Rain became scarce, harvests thin. Chinedu's small cassava farm yielded barely enough to feed his household. Each evening, he returned home with dusty feet and tired bones, only to meet silence and worry sitting in the corners of his house. Ngozi never complained. She cooked whatever was available, sometimes watery soup, sometimes plain gari. She sang to Adiz even when her own stomach cried. But Chinedu noticed everything. He noticed how his daughter's wrapper was always faded. He noticed how his wife patched the same blouse again and again. And worst of all, he noticed how other men laughed loudly, hiding their own shame behind mockery. At night, Chinedu lay awake, staring at the ceiling of dried bamboo. The darkness pressed on him like a heavy hand. He wanted more. Not comfort, respect. Not survival, success. And slowly, quietly, dissatisfaction began to poison his thoughts. One market day, his old friend Emeka returned from the city. Emeka wore polished shoes that reflected the sun. His wrist bore a shiny watch, and his speech rolled with confidence. As villagers gathered around him, he spoke of the city like a promised land where money answered those who dared, where nobody knew your past, and where suffering was optional. Chinedu listened. Each word settled into his heart like a seed. "You are wasting your strength here," Emeka told him later, sipping palm wine. "A man like you should be enjoying life. The city rewards bold men." That night, Chinedu looked at his sleeping wife and child and felt something unfamiliar: resentment. Not toward them directly, but toward the life they shared. Weeks later, fate came wearing perfume. Her name was Ifeananya. She arrived in Umudike in a sleek car that raised dust and envy in equal measure. She was dressed in city clothes, her hair styled carefully, her nails painted like ripe cherries. She laughed loudly and spoke with authority. People whispered that she was rich, that she owned shops in the city, that she dealt with important men. When she noticed Chinedu, his height, his quiet strength, she smiled. That smile changed everything. Ifeananya spoke to Chinedu like he mattered. She called him a real man. She listened to his complaints and nodded with understanding. She told him stories of city apartments, of soft beds, of food that did not need rationing. "You were not meant to suffer like this," she said one evening, her voice smooth like honey. "Come with me. I can help you start over." Chinedu's heart trembled. That night, Ngozi sensed the storm before it broke. She noticed his silence, the distance in his eyes. When she asked him what troubled him, he snapped. "Must a man explain his suffering every day?" he shouted. Ngozi said nothing. She only held Adiz closer. The day Chinedu announced his decision, the sky was heavy with clouds. "I am going to the city," he said coldly. "This village has nothing for me." Ngozi froze. "What of us?" she asked, her voice barely steady. "What of your daughter?" Chinedu looked away. "I will send money." But Ngozi knew the truth. She knelt before him, dust clinging to her wrapper. "Chinedu," she pleaded, tears streaming, "poverty is painful, but abandonment kills faster. If you must leave, remember who you are leaving behind." Adiz, too young to understand, reached out her small hands.
Chinedu hardened his heart. He packed his bag that same evening. No farewell feast. No blessings. Just silence and heartbreak.
As he followed Ifunanya's car down the narrow village road, Ngozi stood watching, her tears soaking into the soil. The earth received them without judgment.
And as the city lights swallowed Chinedu whole, Umudike whispered a truth he refused to hear.
A man who runs from his roots may find comfort, but he will lose his soul.